Hey folks, it's Greg. You're watching Greg's Country Cabin Outdoors. This one's for Dale at NB88. This is that coffee pot that I made, percolator. And here's the basket that goes in it. This is my own creation. I invented it myself. Or reinvented it, let's put it that way. But anyway, Dale wanted to see this in action. So, what I've got is my little alcohol stove, and I've got my coffee pot, and I've got my percolator basket that I'm going to go ahead and put in there, even though I don't have any coffee grounds in it right now. I'm not going to put any in it. And what is going to happen, I'm pretty certain, is I'm going to light this stove, and it's going to burn, and it's going to heat the water up to boiling. But I don't think it's going to percolate. And the reason I say that is because with the percolator, the heat has to be concentrated in the center of the bottom. And with this stove, it's going to be, well, you'll see, it's going to be all the way around it, all the way around the bottom. So, let's get this thing started. Okay, I've got my alcohol poured in, and what I'm using is heat. Gas line antifreeze and water remover. This works better than any other alcohol that you can get. Denatured alcohol works really well. It stinks. Rubbing alcohol works. It stinks really bad. So I'm going to get this lit, and once these little jets right here start to bloom, we'll be ready to put the pot on. Okay, that thing is burning. I don't know why it's burning that hot, but it's already bloomed. And so here's what's going to happen. It's going to burn all the way out around the outside of that pot because I've set it on top of it. Okay. And what that does is that allows it to build up a little bit of pressure. And I've got it centered on there. And as you can see, it's burning really nice blue. I did not put the lid on tight because it's kind of hard to get it off once I get it on there. So anyway, we'll see what happens. The flames died down a little bit and it's starting to grow back. But part of the reason the flame dies down is pretty simple. The water's cold, and when it cools down that aluminum, which aluminum is a great transmitter of heat, okay, lesson learned. Too much pressure, and the alcohol started boiling out of the pot, out of the little burner. So I had to put it out. And what I snuffed it out with was a can, another can, right over the top of it, and let it go out. It was starting to leak alcohol across the top of the stove, so I shut it off. Okay? Bad idea. Okay. My second choice is more for what I thought would work for the percolator. And it is basically a Bud Light bottle, aluminum bottle, that I cut the bottom and top off of and turned it into a little, I guess you would call it a little rocket type stove. Let's see how this works. Okay, as you can see, I have to have a pot stand for this to even think about working, and the flame is burning right up underneath the center of that pot, right where I want it to burn. So we'll see what happens if it heats up and overpressurizes like the little ultra light stove did. Okay, so I want you to see what I think of an alcohol stove that burns out of control. there it is. The ultra lightweight alcohol stove is a bust, and I wouldn't recommend it to anybody simply because it's a fire hazard. If you're traveling, hiking, backpacking through the countryside and it burns out of control like that, it'll set the forest on fire, and you don't want that. So that's a bust. This one's burning exactly the way I want it to burn, which is kind of surprising. So now what I'm doing is seeing if it holds enough alcohol to actually bring that percolator to a full perk. Right now nothing's happening. It's not percolating at all. So it's got to heat the water up to a point where it will boil in the center, because the heat's going right up the center, and that's where my base for my percolator is. I want to heat up the bottom of the center of the pot, just like the electric percolators do. So it's a wait and see. I have not been timing this. I have no idea how long this has been burning. I know it's been a little while, but anyway, stay tuned. I don't know if you can hear the hiss. It's just now getting to the point where it's starting to make those tiny little bubbles. Well, it's still running, and it's just starting to perk. And like I said, I don't know how long this has been cooking, but anytime that you can bring a percolator to a perk like that with just a couple ounces of alcohol, you're doing pretty good. And that means you can make coffee. With this little bitty stove down here, coming to a full boil here, and it's still running. You can see there, it's percolating. Which is why I have that little cup inside there for it to percolate against, to disperse the water back down into the grounds. So we know that this little alcohol stove here can hold enough alcohol to make coffee. I don't know how long it takes. It's kind of like making coffee with a candle. It's not burning real strong, but hey, it works. Okay, it's still burning. It's still burning. I have not added anything to it, and it is percolating strong. So I'd say that that little stove is a complete success, and it's a safe success. You don't have to worry about it overheating and leaking out. It's heating up the coffee directly underneath of it, just like I wanted it to. So if it'll make coffee, it'll easily make your hot water for your meals too. So hey, my little percolator is a complete success with an alcohol stove. Okay, I went ahead and snuffed this out. I wanted to see how much alcohol it had actually burned, and I have since dumped it out. I thought I was recording, turned out I wasn't. But anyway, this thing still had almost an ounce of alcohol still in it. So what it is it's a Bud Light aluminum bottle, and I cut the top off of it with a tubing cutter, and then I cut the bottom off, and I just marked around it and cut it off with a pair of scissors. And then the actual base of it is the actual bottom of the bottle, and I cut enough of it off to be able to push it up inside there, and I trimmed the edge of it down a little bit in order to make it a little bit shorter so it would fit underneath that pot stand, which apparently I didn't have to do. But in order to get it to sit flat, I had to take a hammer and indent the base of it enough to where it would sit flat without wobbling. And You don't want wobble with an alcohol stove. So if by any chance you made one of those ultra lightweight alcohol stoves that I put in one of my videos, destroy it. It's junk. Do not use it. Anything that's going to leak alcohol when you're on a hiking trip is going to catch the forest on fire, and you don't want that. This one doesn't leak any alcohol at all, and it used about a little over an ounce. From about my thumbnail to right there, which is how far I filled it, is how much alcohol it used. So it's a little over an ounce of alcohol. Yeah, it's candlelight. It takes forever, but you know what? It's safe, and you will have coffee. So, Dale, if you're watching and you made one of those ultralight alcohol stoves, throw it away. The coffee pot, it works great. I've used it before. In fact, when I was boiling the water, it smelled like coffee. And I've used it for making water too. That is one that I've carried with me for work in the past, and I will be using in my ice shack when I get it done. So, okay, I've got a BRS, and I've got this little bugger right here. This is literally a no-name butane stove. I don't know why it's not coming into focus. But it's got a clicker or a igniter on it and everything. Let's see if I can get it to, yeah. And I compared this to the BRS, and I like the BRS because it's a little more compact. In fact, I can stick it inside of a little medicine bottle. This one comes with its own box. Now, hang on. This will expand around, all the way around, complete circle. These little things flip out. Okay, so those are all flipped out. Well, that one's not for some reason. After those are all flipped out, this coffee pot sits right on top of it perfectly. So I don't have a canister with me that I can mount this particular stove to. It takes the butane canisters. But I found this on Amazon after it was advertised. The guy talked about it, and he compared it to the BRS, which I ended up buying a BRS. The BRS was $11 and something when I bought it, and he said on his channel that this particular stove was $11 and some change. Well, I found it on Amazon, and it was only $5.20. So I ordered 4 of them, gave one to my wife, gave one to my hunting buddy, and gave one to my brother-in-law that is into survival stuff. So anyway, I hope this little video helped you. If you don't have to use an alcohol stove, if you can carry a canister in one of these little, or not alcohol, but butane stoves, I would recommend it, because it will not only heat your coffee, but it'll heat up your water that you want to put in there to make a dehydrated meal. And I'm real pleased with it. I've used it. I've used the BRS. I like the BRS because, it's, like I say, it's compact and lightweight, and I can actually get it inside of a prescription medicine bottle. So there you have it. My little choices for camp gear, hiking gear, canoe gear, kayaking gear, whatever you want to call it. This is the no-name brand. I've got my thumb over my name and address. On the other side, it's the same thing. I put my initials on there. But anyway, not much to it. Pretty simple, and it works. Works great. And so does my little coffee maker. Looks like coffee to me. What do you think? And some left over. Yep. Promises to be a good day. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this little video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And my advice to you is, if you don't have to use an alcohol stove, don't use an alcohol stove.